go live. Anybody that's
We're
waiting
here.
for the thing, is it? Okay, we're here.
We're here. Welcome everyone to actually was Life Between Lives. Now we got a new name for our show.
Yeah.
So it is the Dance of Soul. And Regan Forston, who is a hypnotherapist through the Newton Institute, and I being the medium, Natasha Venter, who is one who does personal awareness life coaching, who's very intuitive, remembers being born. We wanted to keep the show going that used to be called Life Between Lives. With that Regan and I decided to change the name to, it's called Dance of the Soul. And I have to look at my paper because I've thrown so many names out there that was feeling right. And we settled on this one, which I'm very grateful for. And
Yeah.
the reason why we're calling it the dance is because the soul dances through life. And it ain't always the easy dance. Many a times it's the dance of you have the wrong partner, you have the wrong music, or you have too fast a music and you got to hurry up and dance the rhythm of it. And we're always navigating through life, and what we try to do here is that even though our soul might be dealing with this life, we're also dancing through many different lives. And I know many of us are going through life altering changes, and Regan and I were just talking about this, that our soul is getting triggered by the dance of this life and other lifetimes. And Veronica says that, hey, I like that name. So thank you,
Oh,
Veronica, for the feedback. I
yeah.
really
Thanks.
appreciate that.
Yeah, we look forward to you being here, Veronica. You're always a joy to interact with. This is great. Yeah, we we were just talking about. I mean, everybody's been talking about it. If they haven't been, they've been thinking about it. Just that, say, in the last 2 years, I mean, the world's been turned upside down. But it's kind of mirroring our lives. It's not just what's happened out there with COVID and Trump and all the turmoil and political turmoil. That's just kind of a mirror, I think, for what's happening to all of us and the changes. And sometimes, our subconscious, the way the subconscious works, is it hates change. Once you train the subconscious, it's kind of set in stone, and it just wants to keep on doing the same thing that it's familiar with, and that's not working anymore for so many people, and it's causing relationships to have issues, and father daughter children relationships, work relationships, and that's why I think the world's gone a little nuts or crazy right now, is because you know it's like we landed on a new planet somewhere where they have new rules and things, and we're all confused on what to do you know so if any of you listening out there, like Veronica, or I wonder if Susan's listening today or whatever, let us know what's kind of going on in the change in your life, and how you're coping with it, because it's not so easy. In my regular, I have a life between life. I'm a life between life facilitator with the Newton Institute, and I help people reach a deep state of trance or relaxation, or hypnosis, whatever you want to call it. It's just a very relaxed state, and in that state, we've discovered that you can easily access past lives, and then you can go on from there to where people go in between lives, which is heaven. Well, the people that are coming to me now with their issues, we're getting a lot of answers to why they're having their issues. But still, when the guides on the other side tell them what they need to do to clean up their life or to go through the change, um, they have to be the one to make the change.
Exactly.
So, right, Natasha, like when you're telling people, and so there's going to be some people out there that just they don't have it in them to make the change, so they're just too set in their ways. But that's
And
why,
that's when the angels, I see them kind of doing this. It's
yeah.
like, they just,
So
we're human.
I just saw a vision of people going down the drain. It's like, instead of fighting to stay out of it. So, but the good news is, um, once you start change, even if you start and move an inch forward each day, just do a little bit of change. It's just like rolling a ball downhill. It's really hard to push it first. And you push it, it's a little bit and a little bit, and pretty soon it starts getting a momentum of its own. And I've seen that with my clients. So once I get them to just do some practical things. Like I was talking to Natasha about a session I had today on a woman who had lost her job. Well, actually, she quit her job because it was a toxic environment, and she, she kind of she thought she made the wrong decision for a while, but now she's seeing it was the best thing she could have done.
Mhm.
And so she was worried about getting another job, and so she was all down and depressed, and she just needed a this is why, even regular therapists, someone you can trust, or like a life coach, or like Natasha does, is what we try to get you to do, is see your issue, and then we try to think of a practical way of just moving a little bit, you know
Mhm.
and so I got her to submit a resume, and then she did that, and then she submitted a few more, and then she was scared about the interview. She goes, "Oh my gosh," because she is a beautiful human being, and she's very uh, she looks very frail because she's small size, very feminine, and uh, so she says people always don't take her seriously because she looks like she couldn't hurt a fly, which she couldn't.
Hey, but I know a lot of us short women, I wouldn't want to meet us in a dark alley.
Right. Well, what she's finding out is, because she's had tough women in her life, and they told her that, hey, you're too you're not going to get along in life because you're too easygoing, blah 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 blah. But all that happened, and the abuse that she kind of suffered from not just her the women close to her, but other relatives to her, it's actually turned her into a really tough cookie. So now she's realizing that in the work that she's doing, and because it's going to be a tough population, she's a psychologist also, which is interesting, and she needs to be both soft and hard in being a therapist. So we did a session today, we're in hypnosis, where she went to a beautiful island that we created. And
Mhm.
it was an island where everybody comes in their best self and everything. No harm can come to you. It's just a place where you feel free, no problems, no worries. You can see everything from a higher viewpoint. And in that state, we had all these women that had been really mean to her, what she perceived as being mean to her in her life. And she, one by one, hugged them and thanked them for making her a tough cookie now. You know, she says, even though it hurt, I know it was for good, because she's really seeing that that's the lessons that she needed. But still, right, Natasha, like sometimes, even though you're going through that process, it hurts your feelings sometimes that people treat you mean, and it's that. So there's a little bit that needs to be fixed there, along with her uh, forgiving anybody. She said she felt so good, like with her mother and the different relatives, except one coworker. She said she felt on the other side. She felt like punching her, but she didn't,
A
because
little bit of
she,
turmoil in past lives, I would say.
yeah. Um, but then after the session, we were talking about that one coworker that was so cruel to her, that actually caused her to leave. Someone who spread rumors and lies that got toxic after a while, that were not even true, that really hurt her deeply, because she's not that kind of person, that this other person was trying to make everybody look at her as. And she realized that when she left, she was working in a prison as a psychologist in a prison, and all of the officers and everything there really came down hard on the other lady, because of what she caused her to quit her job, because
Mhm.
sh-
The ripple effect was there.
yeah, so she got some of her karma back. But we said we hope that maybe that other woman learned a lesson from it. Who knows if she did, but maybe going through that was a good thing for her too, to go through, you know.
Well, that's the thing that I have found, and that, looking at the broad picture of everyone here, is that we have these life experiences, and it may be, that, like, some decisions that are being made, it triggers the one that it affects, but it also triggers the one that did the decision,
Yeah,
because of the fact that everyone has, if we're interwoven, there's a lesson on both sides. Now, if the other person's willing to look at the lesson, it's a great partnership to move forward. That's
yeah,
why I can say that I'm still celebrating 30 years of marriage, because the partner I have was willing to look at self. I was willing to look at self to move forward.
yeah,
And as we go through life, because I know that, for me, the decisions being made lately really triggered a part of me, and it triggered some of my past lives even. So with that as we're going through the soul triggers, and the triggers change, the soul will trigger changes, and the changes will trigger the soul. So we're
Yeah.
all kind of moving through these big, huge moments of figuring out, where are we supposed to go with this? And I
Yeah.
would say, the more you can look in the mirror and say, what is this here to teach me? The greater this moment can be for us.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's a good point. And I was going to say, um, also too, um, when people are going through all this change, what I want to tell people is that as you change your outlook on things, as you start looking at things with a higher viewpoint, you become more spiritual in a sense. Um, y- Things that you have in your life, there's going to be a lot of things you have in your life now, they're going to just drop away. Uh,
Mhm.
and some of those are hurt. Sometimes it's relationships that go. Sometimes it's your work, or friends that have been your friends for a while will all of a sudden not be your friend anymore, and you won't even know why. But it's because they don't fit. They don't fit in your new consciousness now, and so it's like spirit kind of cleaning house.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to go through the change, but when you know that you're going through these things because, well, okay, I'm trying to think of a common thing. Like, let's say you buy a brand new house somewhere and you're so excited about it, but then you got to move to that new house.
Oh,
I think
that's
everybody knows what I'm talking about.
that's an undertaking.
Right. And so the process of moving is not any fun, but you have your eye on that new house, your new state of consciousness. And you know, when you get there and you go through and you throw a lot of stuff to Goodwill, you throw a lot of stuff out, you realize how much junk you've accumulated, which are, the ways you used to think about things, the way you looked at life that don't fit anymore because you've grown beyond that. So you just have to keep your eye on the goal, and the goal is to get moved into that new house. And once you're there and you look back and you go, oh God, I'm so grateful for this new house. And it was so worth going through all the changes and everything I had to leave and give away and sell to get into this new house. I
Mhm.
know. And then in your new house, you're going to start accumulating a lot of junk too for your next thing.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's the thing about life though, is that hopefully when we move into the new place, we can refreshen those new things that were supposed to come into our lives.
right.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of us that are awakening our spirituality, and we're finding that we're collecting things, and we're moving through things. I know for me, like, the decision, and I'm just going to be bold here, the decision that Kevin McDonald did to no longer be with Life Between Lives. Now it's called The Dance of the Soul.
Right.
That as we've been moving through this moment, I took this opportunity, even though I wasn't moving my house, but I rearranged my spiritual room. I also, our screen door that was broken to the front door, we took that off, had no front door for a while. So that was allowing energy to come in because I do feng shui. And then we got a new screen door, painted it, decided that the front door needed to be painted, and I also painted the back door because, everything, because when we allow things in the front door, we have to allow things in the back door, and we got to make
Right.
sure it's clean and everything. And then the gift is that since the front door represents new beginnings, my husband and I weeded and fluffed up and moved rocks around, and did some good house cleaning in the front yard, because I wanted new change to come in. I wanted new light to come in. Every ending is a new beginning, but sometimes when you work with new energies like a new house, it comes in easier when you open the door, freshen things up, and say, I'm available.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. This is just my take. I don't have, in our research we've done at the Newton Institute, I don't know how this works, but it's just me just living for 70 something years now.
And
Um,
that's very valuable.
yeah. Um, it seems that we all go through initiations through our life. And uh, a lot of times we're unaware of it. We just know that things change in our life. But what we're hoping, Natasha and I are hoping to do, is to make everybody listening to this really start to realizing that you can learn to become more mindful of all of your spiritual side. And that, like what happened to me at one point was, maybe I had talked about this before, but I started a spiritual path that works for me. Like everybody has one that works for them. Or if you don't, if you have a spiritual path not working for you, look around. There's a lot of them out there, or just have your own spiritual path. I mean,
Hmm.
you don't need to have a particular religion or something to be the most beautifully spiritual person in the world. You just have to, in a sense, acknowledge, like, acknowledge your guides. Like Natasha can just go, and Raphael's there or something. Well, our guides are there too, like that. So start, if you just mimic what you see Natasha doing when she kind of looks up a little bit, and just kind of look up a little bit and say, okay.
Yeah, it depends on where they're coming from. Sometimes they're down because they're an animal or a
Okay. Okay.
fairy, or it's like parents are more at eye level, angels are more up. My
Okay.
dragons are more up too, but yeah.
Okay. But however, in other words, just however you feel, look, people are used to like looking up a little to the right to heaven or something, and just say, guides, whoever you are, I'm going to begin to listen to you now, and I'm going to be open to that. And if I'm a little thick up here for a while to hear you, please come to my dreams, or kind of whisper, or give me that feeling that it's my intuition or something. And if you just start the dialogue again, it's just like moving forward a little bit. And I hear that when I've talked to beings on the other side, they're just waiting for you to, in a sense, look up and say, hey, I know you're there somewhere. Start working with me, because they know that's the first big step of you have to be aware, you know, because I've heard it said that, for most people, they miss about 98% of what the other side's trying to help you with, because they're so closed off. But when
Yes.
you open up, then all of a sudden, watch what you dream. Well, for me, I woke up in a dream. Well, I took a dream class, and I had to start learning about how to become aware that I was dreaming and become active with my dream world.
Mhm.
And you can do that too. All you have to do is, as you go to sleep, you just say, God, I want to be aware of my dreams. I don't want to miss any good stuff that's coming to my dreams. Please help me to remember, to be aware of it. It may not happen the first night, but if you do that for a few weeks, like with me, I think it was maybe 6 weeks it took me, and then all of a sudden I wake up in the dream, and I'm able to analyze the dream as it's happening,
Mhm.
and I realize what's going on. So there's skills, but I think, like Natasha will tell you, like she's helped me a little bit to realize that I have some abilities that she has, but I'm just not, just wasn't looking for them. I haven't kind of tuned in, and I've really felt, Natasha, since you helped me with some stuff, that I feel something, I can just,
Sometimes it's just recognition.
yeah.
Sometimes it's just recognition. And once we practice that, that's why I tell people it's always a
You
practice.
got to
You,
practice, right?
yeah, it's that practice, like driving down the street and you ask, your team or your body, can you give me a signal on if the person in front of me is going to take a right turn or left turn? And you kind of do that little dance. But Veronica had a comment here.
Yeah.
Um, many, my many changes in life, sorry. I've learned patience and more compassion. And I've also learned when someone is trying to trigger my emotions.
Wow, that's a big
Yes,
one. That is a big one right there.
that's huge. That's huge. And I can tell you that once you get there, you're it's like
Oh,
hallelujah,
wow.
girl.
Well,
Hallelujah.
just think of the damage that is done to the world when people's emotions are triggered, and they don't have that awareness that their emotions are being triggered, and they
Mhm.
just go with that emotion. Oh my gosh, so much abuse is done to people in our lives that we love, and that's the same thing I had to become aware of. But it took me. I had anger, as I mentioned on the show before. When I was, well, all until I was in my early 40s, I had anger issues where, when I felt like, ugh, like, you know, that emotion of, we get so angry or something, and I would feel like I was going to die, because I couldn't handle the emotion. And so I would yell and scream and throw things, and That's how like a pressure cooker, how I,
Mhm.
how I let the pressure off. But in doing that, I hurt the feelings of a lot of people, and I had a lot of holes in the walls to patch. You know, God, I mean, oh man,
I know.
you know,
I actually posted about that last night because I do inspirational quotes on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And the post was is that I was talking with someone the other day and talking about being triggered and getting into the ugh moment right away. And
yeah,
I gave an example of is that when you get to that point where you can practice it, you can start maybe saying, sorry, caught me in a moment, let's start over again. Hi, how are you? What can I help you with? Because this
yeah,
person's in service. And so it's just that moment of just practicing. And once we get to that, oh, I am being triggered. I am being triggered. I talked about actually being triggered in my life clarification show last Wednesday because we're all getting triggered about things, and it's amazing what our soul really wants us to learn in this life.
hmm,
And sometimes it's just patience and calmness for self. Sometimes it is that, wait a minute, I'm here to give the support. Like I told this person, if you start doing that, can you imagine how many people would hear, oh, I can restart over when I get angry? Or, oh, things happen. I can just start over. And how did I feel about that? Maybe they may not have that recognition, but there's a pattern that once we start learning things, it's amazing the ripple effect that comes through,
hmm,
our lives. It's just amazing.
yeah. The first thing, and just like Veronica was saying about is this realization that you're being triggered. To us, what they would do, I don't know if you can see, but like my hands are just like, ah. And
Yeah.
this is the trigger that we created in the class that I went to for 3 years, was when you feel your body feeling like this, we called it fatal peril. In other words, in your subconscious, it's like there's so much energy in here that your subconscious thinks it's never going to end. It's never going to stop until you do something, So once we learned that as we started getting angry and we could feel this feeling, that slowed things down so that we realized that we had now to make a choice. Okay, you're feeling this way. Are you going to just be angry and do something that you're going to regret later? You're going to hurt somebody and say something that you don't want to say? Or are you going to deal with your feelings of what maybe that triggered that and deal with it? But it's having that second or two head start that you realize, oh, I'm about to get angry, because
Yes.
people would always say, oh, my husband pushed my button, or my wife, she just pushed my button, like we have buttons on us that they push and we just react. But that's what it feels like, because we were brain dead as far as realizing and being in touch with our emotions. So once we realize we don't have any buttons, nobody's pushing our buttons, what they're trying to do is they're trying to evoke something in us, and we're aware of that, then you can't have the excuse anymore. Oh, I don't have to be responsible for what I said because she pushed my button and I just reacted that way. We know then, if we decide to be angry, that we actually made a decision to be angry and to say that. And we can't,
It's a pattern. It's a comfort
yeah,
zone. It's a routine. It's one of those things because I know for me that people who have triggered, sometimes it's something that that person, let's say a coworker, had the same lilt to their voice or the same tone to their voice that a family member who was kind of abusive to me, you know.
yeah,
And so then I would be triggered, and why wouldn't I like that person? That person's been nice to me, but they got that that tone. But yet that trigger that coworker had was actually a gift to release the angst, the energy, the hurt that the family member did earlier.
oh
That
boy, yeah,
it's one of those things, but that's where things flow into our life to trigger us to get into the observation I would have, just a quick little go back to the session you had. So with her, it was this whole experience could have been about finding her a new empowerment. It's not being powerful, it's about the empowerment. It's about, I can stand on my own 2 feet. Just like this whole experience with things stirring around my business, instead of tiptoeing, trying to be nice, gentle, and like take other people's perspectives more than mine. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna stand on my own 2 feet, care deeply, but be empowered at the same time. And there's that fine line between the wibbly curve of learning your empowerment. But it's that finding that. And that's what our souls are really want us to do. It's not about being powerful. It's about being empowered. And it's that inner growth. And when we're getting there, that's a lot of our life stories,
Yeah.
is how to stop what other people have told us so we can become our greater selves.
Yeah. And none of this comes without work. I mean, they had a saying in that anger management class I went to for 3 years, and the saying that the public has, or that a lot of wives have about their husbands, is once an abuser, always an abuser. You know, and there's truth to that, in the sense that if
Hmm.
you don't retrain your subconscious and you don't do some work, you're going to react the same way all the time, because that's just how you're trained to react. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware of that, and then it takes some work and some conscious change, and it takes screwing up sometimes. We would have what I really liked was, in that class that we went to, they would have us make an agreement every time that started. We would go through a few agreements, and it would say, I agree to not be abusive to myself or others. You know, I would agree, either verbally, physically, emotionally, mentally, all we go through all the different types of abuse. And then they would say at the end, it would says, if I do break that agreement, then the next time I come to class, I'm willing to remake the agreement again. So it allowed us to be human, allowed us to goof up a little bit here and there, and but knowing that we were really trying, and that we would keep making that agreement, and it just kept making us more conscious of our actions during the week.
Hmm.
Of who we got mad at or not. Um, what was really sad was, is one of the instructors that was there, who um, he had been an angry person, and he had gone through 3 years of training, and overcame, at least he thought he had done that, to become an instructor. We went in one night, and they had a different instructor there, and he says, well, what happened to so and so? And they said, didn't you hear he got killed this week? And what happened, he was driving cab, and there was a young man in the back, that when he dropped him off, and the young man says, I'm not paying you, old man. And he got mad, and started yelling at the guy in the back, and the kid pulled out a gun, shot him dead. you know so it just showed that, when you let it go, oof, you know but we all learned from that. It's like, "God, this is serious business. You have to This is for the rest of your life now." And I
Hmm.
would say, in the last, let's see, 42, almost, oh my God, almost 30 years now since I've been through that. I think I've lost it maybe 3 times in 30 years, and then oh man, one of the times I felt, it wasn't even as bad as I used to be, but because I felt that anger, and I let it go through, and said some unkind things to someone that I cared about. Man, I just hurt for weeks after that, because of what I did. It just went, oh, so I know that it works, and I know people can do that. And so changing spiritually, okay, me dealing with my angers issues up to my spiritual awareness, because once I became mindful of my actions and how they deal with others, and I started choosing to not hurt others, I choose to not do that. Boy, I mean, I for a while there, I felt like a saint, like a saint. You know, I felt I had a halo around my head because I was doing that.
But
Uh,
you also found probably in that walk that there's a lot of synchronicities that happened. You
oh yeah,
felt more in rhythm with things. You felt more enlightened with things. And that's the thing about life is that when we start doing the interactions of the dance, that's why it's called the dance of
yeah,
soul, because that's the interactions of the dance. What are we going to do to try to do better? And we're never innocent,
yeah. No,
and I can go back to my husband becoming sober. I had to change just as much as he did. because of
Yeah.
patterns we set up to each other. And there's times where even though he hadn't drank for 3 years, he went into a dry drunk, it's called. And he had some of the same emotions, the same triggers, the same stories, the same emotions. And how was I going to change how I interacted with it so that he can come out of the dry drunk faster?
Yeah.
So as we go through life and as we navigate through life, I'm so grateful that there was a tool that I was given. I don't know when it was given, but observer. And being the observer of life, it really helps me to say, okay, let me do this a little differently so that we can help everybody else do different. Or, ouch, that hurt. Yeah, that emotion happened. Yeah, that's getting triggered. Okay, how can I work with this to do better? How can I help this? Oh, wait a minute. Time to come out of the cave. I get it. Okay, let's move forward.
Yeah.
We have these moments where, and we're all getting this woken up. And I can say that the people who are going through grief right now, my love goes to you. My love truly goes to you, because these moments of grief, especially being hit today in these days, it's not like a normal grief. You don't have the comfort zone of life being every day like it's been. We're actually getting into everyday life again, but it's really shooken up. So how are we supposed to even know what is grief and what is grief? Because sometimes we have grief that our life isn't the same way.
Yeah.
So the grief that we have right now is pretty huge, even for those of us who had always a job to do. We always were doing things, but things are still different. The interaction is still different. The way that we're navigating with people is different. And that's part of that soul waking up, is learning where our energy is and how it affects others. Just like us wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, and how is our voice, our breath going to other people, is just like our energy.
Yeah. So what's some basic advice, Natasha, you would give to somebody that's going through a tough issue in their life and they're feeling a lot of emotional pain? Um, you know, um, what would you say to somebody like that? If just the basics, as far as getting them through the day, or giving them a higher perspective of this emotional pain they're feeling and how to deal with it.
The perspective that I can give to somebody is that once you become friendly with those emotions, I'm not going to say that they have to be your best friend. I said friendly.
Okay.
Like I tell the kids on the playground, we don't have to be friends, but we can sure be friendly with them. So,
Yeah. Okay.
and then finding out, am I angry? Am I hurt? Am I excited? Because there's sometimes guilt about being excited about something happening, you know, that there's some people where it's like, oh, somebody died. Yeah, that means my life is a lot better now, and it's like, and they feel that guilt, you know.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel guilt. It's okay to feel that. Now, do you have to spread it around the world? Do you have to tell everybody? No. This is about sitting with self and negotiating those. And if you need to, write something down, because a lot of times getting those feelings out there does help. And I
That's
can say that when we're doing something mental, try to do something physical. Like for me, I was going through something very emotional. I was very triggered this last week. Well, it was a new moon, so it's always triggering me. That as we go through things, I did a lot of things physical, like I painted my front doors. I rearranged some things. I did some applications in life. And when we can do those, you know, times to think about something, but do something physical. Go for a walk, hug a pillow, watch a TV show that is more positive. Sometimes I watch the Hallmark Channel because even though somebody goes through something negative,
yeah.
it's not heavy. It's not that kind of thing. And so another thing for me, putting on music makes me dance. I cannot not dance. And so for me, getting physical dancing, like there was a hard time that I had, and Madonna came out with Confessions of the Dance Floor. And it was about gaining my empowerment. And I was so much in the need of gaining my empowerment. And so I danced my way into empowerment. Finding those things that you can support yourself. But first off, you got to find out where you're at. You got to find out where you're at, which is that
Yeah.
personal. What are you being triggered with? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Because anger is the first reaction, but you got to go behind the wall and start asking, oh, because sometimes, like this last week, it was my inner child, my little girl that was going, but what about me?
Yeah.
What about you? Let's get moving.
Well, those are very practical. I mean, I really like your first one, and it really helped me a lot. And that's to write stuff down. Write down how you're feeling, why you're feeling, and because there's something to that that's very therapeutic. Where you get it out of your mind and get it on the paper, and then you can kind of look at it and say, "Wow, this is me right now," in the paper there, and then also too, do the best you can to get rid of the victim mentality.
Yes.
That all this is being done to punish you, all this is being done, you know even if you're balancing out some old karma that you have. It can be painful a little bit, but in a sense it's a joyful pain, because you realize that you know you're making up
Mm-hmm.
for, like a kid that throws a baseball through a neighbor's window, and then he's mowing lawns for a couple of weeks to pay for the window, and he's hot and sweaty. But there's something about that even though it's hot and sweaty and it's a little bit painful to go through, he's feeling good because he's making restitution for something that he did.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's just the way you want to look at things. I'm just amazed at somehow people, some of my clients that have had the most horrific things happen to them in their life, and they've remained loving, joyful, kind person through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean it's easy to go through.
Mm.
Just like a box. If you have two boxers boxing, wow, the other guy's punching, it hurts. But hey, you agreed to come into this fight. You agreed to take the punches and to punch back and to do what you can. So
Exactly.
we all agreed to this kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
But
So
and I wanted to add too that if you can have the perspective, and this is very difficult. Every ending is a new beginning. So for me, in one sentence, I said, "Ouch, that hurt. Where am I gonna go now? Ouch, that hurt. Where am I gonna go now?" It's that mentality of acknowledging the the moment, and then saying, "Okay, here I'm available. Let's move on."
yeah,
And if we can just do something like that, it's it's much easier. So Kathy made a comment here. Thank you, Kathy, for watching. Soul contracts, agreements to assist each other, yet not always fun.
yes, you're right, Kathy. Yeah, we found out in the Newton Institute research that we've done, and getting people on the other side, experiencing the afterlife, and then finding out what they found out. We found out that sometimes your soulmate, the person you're closest to in heaven, or the one you love spending your life with, will sometimes agree to come down and be your toughest partner you ever had. You know, all for the purpose of helping you wake up. You know.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I know of a person we had on the other side. Um, she didn't have her what you consider soulmate, and she's always searching in this life for her lover, her soulmate, the person who she could just be madly in love with. She did a life between life session, and she found out he's on the other side, and he said, "Sweetheart, you forgot you don't realize that we decided this time you're coming down by yourself because you were getting too codependent on me in other lifetimes, and you needed to learn to be a strong woman, and you needed to learn to take care of yourself." So as much as that felt bad for her, like, oh my God, I'm not going to find him in this lifetime, it made her feel good that she realized what was going on, and she realized how strong of a person and how resilient she is and everything. And he did tell her on the other side, he says, your life there, it's going to be a blip as far as eternity goes, and you'll be back up here, and we're going to try another life together now that you're stronger, and we're going to have we're going to have better relationships and everything. So sometimes your soulmate or the person that gives you the hardest time or cares about you the most could be a coworker that you can't get along with, or a boss, or a
Mhm.
neighbor. You never know. So that's why you got to be
Exactly.
kind to everybody, or to find out this neighbor that you can't stand because they don't like your cat, or they don't like it that your fence
Exactly.
is your fence is 2 inches on their property and they won't let you forget it or something. Yeah, they're
Yep.
teaching you something.
I always said that, and was my goal, that two strong pillars make a great relationship. You
Yeah.
know, that you can't. I spent a lot of my relationship like this, leaning over, trying to make someone else happy. Well, the better I became stronger, the more stronger my partner came, and we created a great foundation. Kathy had more. You got the one dead on, Regan. Loving buggers.
Yeah. See, and this is the attitude you have to have. We all know we've had those tough people, and we're here on the show laughing about it because we know how difficult it is and how they, you know, but somehow, they're teaching us something.
Yep.
I mean, I've said it on the show a few times before, but it bears worth repeating. Like, uh, one of the women, it was in the afterlife, and she was found out her purpose for being alive now was to learn patience. And then we I asked her, says, well, how long? I said, how long have you been working on patience? And she said 500 years. So don't if you fuse with your nemesis, your adversary, once in a while, you lose your temper, just get back up on your horse and move forward. Forgive yourself for being human, and just try not to try your best to not do it the next time, because we're always going to have that, because we're always learning you
Mhm.
know
Well,
so
like for me, I may not seem like one that gets angry, but the other day I went upstairs and I looked in the mirror and I screamed. I screamed and I was pissed. And then I went and stomped a couple times. I didn't do it with the person. And then I started asking, going, what can I do different? What can this interaction be doing different? So I got rid of the emotion safely. And then I started asking, what can I do different? And then I ended up texting and saying, to get clarity, because I've learned you have to have clarity to know the answer. And with all that different stuff, but we got to acknowledge that emotions are going to pop up. Anger is part of life. Like you were talking about how it's recognizing it. It's okay to be angry. It's what we do with it is the problem.
right.
Many times that we don't wait for the trigger to leave. We got to sometimes wait for the trigger to leave before we can say, ah,
Yeah, people think that you have to eliminate anger in your life. No, that's never going to happen, because that's what we signed up for, is to have the full range of emotions as human beings. It's just how you deal with it. And
how
that's,
you
yeah.
deal with it. And the
Hmm.
timing. It's the timing of dealing with it. Sometimes we can't deal with the emotions right away. And I can tell you, me being good friends with my emotions, there's a lot of times where an emotion will pop up and I can tell it, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I got to get pulled over before we navigate this. I pull over in the car and then we have a talk. That
Yeah,
anger, frustration, sadness, or whatever, because it knows it's going to be heard. A lot of times when we have our anger, when we have our sadness, when we have the frustration or the victimness, you know, talk with it and see, because the more that we can find out where it's coming from, it's like talking with a friend. I know that people are going, how do you talk about an emotion? What I do is that you talk with you say, okay, fear, why are you here? And the first thing you hear, it's the very first thing you hear, because I'm not getting my way. Okay, why aren't you getting your way? Because I just am not. Well, how can we manage that? How can I get you to where you know that you're understood? And just even having that conversation sometimes can kind of, instead of always being this peak that goes up to be a volcano, sometimes it can be a rumbling earthquake. It's just instead of the volcano. And we're just in this moment where we're we're all feeling these emotions. They're out there. I'm so grateful actually that it's summertime so that we can so in the northern hemisphere that we can be outside and express some of these emotions that we're going through as we're waking up.
Yeah.
And because we were going through a lot of soul searching in the wintertime. And you living down in California, you have kind of a 12 months a year where you can be out and about.
Yeah, we
But
do.
up here in the Northwest, when we were socked in because of the weather, we had some wind and rain days where it was like, I ain't going out to even the store and I need milk really bad.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that we have these moments to say, close in, get to know yourself a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh, I was just noticing on my iPhone here, it says I have 8% left. So if somehow if I disappear, you'll probably have to finish the last 10 minutes or so. I tried to plug it into my charger. I brought my phone charger with me, but it's broken. And
Oh
yeah, it won't even light up. So, I just want to let you know I didn't just, disappear or something. I still got 7% now, so probably enough for 3 or 4 more minutes.
no.
But
Okay, so why don't we tell because we don't have to go the full hour either. So Regan, why don't you tell people how they can get a hold of you?
oh yeah, thank you. Okay. Uh, to the regulars listening to the show, you know that I'm a life between life facilitator therapist with the Newton Institute, and what I do is help my clients achieve a deep state of trance or relaxation, which most people can reach. And in that state, we've discovered that everybody can easily go to a past life and then see yourself pass away, turn around. There's a guide or an angel there. And then we have you go to the afterlife where you have a list of prepared questions about your current life that you can get answered in that. And there's so much more. There's about 7 or 8 different stations we've over there. We've pretty much mapped out a good portion of this level of heaven or whatever it is that they're allowing people to go to now. So, if you know of anybody that is open to this sort of thing, it can be done on Zoom even. We Because of COVID, we found out that this process is so easy. We've been doing Zoom sessions and they've been wonderful. Or it can be in person. I could refer you to somebody that's in your area to see in person. There's 250. I thought it was 250, but it's 215 of us in 46 countries now that are doing this research into the afterlife. And I also do on Zoom regular therapy for fears, phobias, stress, depression, uh, addictions, that sort of thing. So I have a regular practice there too. If you have a relative has some, maybe this is too far out for some of your relatives or friends, they just need help, I can help them. So, and then Natasha, now you're at Angelic Clarifications, right?
Yes, I am. And I'll continue on after you
Okay.
drop off. You probably want to keep some of your phones for connecting with
Well,
your
you're very kind there. It's down to 6% now. It just came up on there it's going, I'm watching, it's like, okay, like the
So
bomb's
I'll
gonna go
stay
off.
on and I'll explain where I'm at, but keep some of your phones so you can get a hold of your next
Yeah,
journey in life.
I might need that
And
because
and remember what we talked about.
oh yeah, I will.
And whatever works.
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you guys for listening to the show and contributing today. It was nice to hear from you guys and hope that you chime in the next week. Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Natasha.
Bye, Regan.
See you later.
Okay, guys. Hello. This is called What Life is About. And with Ever, so here, Kathy said, I will send long distance Reiki if you desire. So Kathy is a great healer and she will help out Bev also. So Bev, well, Regan was trying to come off. So Bev asked Natasha, can you please send positive vibes? I desperately will. And if you need to contact me after the show, I'm available and we can talk for a few minutes and I can help you. Uh, and then, so then I sent her, I will, Bev, and then Kathy sent, I will send you long distance Reiki. So thank you. This is what I love about being on YouTube. And if anybody's watching, please like the page, or whatever you're going to do, or become a subscriber, because I love that we can become a community. That's the way that my whole intention about this is that this Regan and I, and even on my life clarification show, that we are here to support you going through the change. I know I go through my change, and I know I have teams. I mean, I have them all around, just like I lit a candle for my team that helps me every day. And those moments we're in help us go through things. And that's why Regan and I, even though the show was to come to an end, we decided to keep it going, because of the fact that this is about making and helping life do better. That's that helping the soul's triggers navigate through the triggers of the soul. We're always going to be going through things. We're always going to be human. We have these emotions. We have these things that are happening. And the more support we can have, the more graceful it might be, the more at ease it might be. We're never alone. And Bev, I want to call you out here. You're never alone. Please just reach out. There's these moments in life that are just, they take the floor out from underneath us. They literally take the floor out from underneath us. And as we go through life, like I had a friend that was posting about how she found two baby birds on in her driveway, and they fell out of the nest or something happened, and she tried to support them. They even opened their eyes and were chirping, and then they passed. We're trying so hard to support, and what a life altering moment for her, that you try to reach out, you try to do your better, and life still says, yeah. Yeah, you tried. We'll have you try again later, you know? But that's life. And we're never going to be who we always want to be in every moment. I want you to know, though, that our soul, over the collective years, collective lifetimes that we've been in, that they all add up to this moment. Everything adds up to what we're doing in this moment. Every experience, every lesson, every moment, everything brings us up to this moment. And as we work through it and as we go through things, it's amazing how it can process through it. So giving you an example is that every time that I was poisoned, my neck cut off, I was hung, I hung someone else, I poisoned someone else, all these things. Well, in this lifetime, I've struggled with food, liking food, I'm not a foodie at all. If my husband says, I'm really hungry for pizza, I say, I'll have celery and peanut butter. I don't care. Just give me something. That as we work through life and as we go through life, the thing is, though, I'm recognizing all that, and I'm asking for those lifetimes to heal so that I can navigate with this one, having my body be healthy, my new knowings be healthy. I can also tell you that my parents passed away, and in the family of colon cancer and things like that. So I'm done with that story. I'm trudging a new path, which is also dealing with food, about how I digest my life, how we're navigating through life. So with that, past lives have interacted with us. Past life of this lifetime has interacted with us. So how can we collect all this to move forward? How can we collect all these knowings in us that can move forward so that we can be our better selves? Because life is about digesting our food. Life is about digesting our life. Life is about recognizing where we're at. Oh crap, that really hurt. That really hurt. And like I gave the perspective to someone that, I feel like that a lot of us are going through the graduation ceremony, even though we thought that we were only sophomores and we weren't going to graduate for 2 years. So we were told, okay, we're done with what we're doing. We're kicked out of the room. You're graduated in life, metaphorically. Kicked out of the room, kicked out, the door slammed behind us, and we look back and the party's still going on. And we're standing out there alone. because we're going through those kinds of changes. We're going through those changes that the universe is saying, you've got it. You have it. You've got that knowledge. You just got to remember to trust yourself, to know that everything is going forward. And when we can do that, when we can manage with that, when we can hug that and say, oh God, this is really scary. Like me doing the show for the first time, with Regan. I had not even had somebody else on my StreamYard. So I was like, how do I email? How do I do this? Well, instead of standing in fear like I used to, I decided, I'm going to trust. 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 Because a lot of my past lives right now have been about staying in that cave, staying closed up. I can't do it, not going to do it, not going to show my light. No, this lifetime, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do what I can do. And if we can do that, like Bev, my love goes to you. Depending on what it is, and I feel like that it's going to be this life-altering experience for you where your floor is coming out from underneath you. That know that if trusting the step, just remember that sometimes if we take that half step, sometimes that next decision can help us be made. It can help us make the next decision. That half step can lead us to another new knowledge to help us make a decision for the next half step. And as we go through that, knowing that too, that a lot of us are saying goodbye to loved ones. And as we say goodbye, I want you to know that they have love with them. They're not alone. And actually, more than not, most of them are saying, I'm so grateful to be free from that sickened body. And I love you. I know when I had to say goodbye to my dad, I actually had him around me more for a while than I had when I had to drive to Seattle and I was an hour and a half away. So with that, my love goes to you. These life-altering experiences we're going through are shaking us up to find our truer selves. So it's time for us not to tiptoe through life. It's about time to put our feet on the floor and just say, ouch, that hurt. This hurts. I'm grieving. I'm in the moment of grief. I don't know what to do. Okay, who can I talk to that's safe? How can I manage this? How can I be vulnerable in the moment that I'm in right now so I can hold on? So I can hold on. So with that, since we already said goodbye to Regan, we're coming up on the hour. And I'm so excited. Thank you, everyone who is watching today. And I hope that whoever watches in the future can know that we are here, going to be here Mondays at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm on Life Clarifications, which I talk about just basic human life things and how to manage through them, what is going on. And sometimes the story is going to kind of continue over into the next Wednesday. We never know. So please interact, engage. Please come, and so you can be live. So maybe you can have ask a question and interact. Also know that I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, which I do inspirational quotes daily, actually Monday through Friday, but it's Sunday night through Thursday night. And know that I'm actually going to be doing some goofy videos with my gargoyles. I hope that you enjoy them. I'm kind of being vulnerable and putting them out there. And I'm hoping that they will be helpful. So with that please reach out. You can reach me at angelicclarifications.com, or you can reach me at Natasha at angelicclarifications.com. And remember, please, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All have Natasha Venter, 96 and 11 and that kind of thing. So it's just finding me. And I'm on YouTube. Everything is there. Inspirational quotes and videos. Please call me up for a session if you're in need. And if we're going through these life altering experiences, just please reach out because you just never know how I can help you, even if you cannot afford a session. My love to you. Please be. Oh, wait. I'm hearing a card. I'm hearing a card. Animal. I do this on Life Clarifications. So Sue says, "Thank you, beautiful soul. Thank you, Sue. You too are a beautiful soul." And then Kathy says, "Thank you, Natasha. Blessings with each explorer into our new." Yeah. Oh, blessings. I said, I can tell you that as we're all going through life altering changes and our floors are coming out from underneath us, guess what's being built? Being built as a new floor, a new foundation, and it's going to be stronger than it was before. So if you trust the rebuilding process, our newer floor, our newer foundation, then our newer walls, guess what? We can have a house that we're going to like. We're going to have a house, metaphorically, that we like. If we trust this new beginning, if we trust the wisdom of moving forward. And it's the animal cards. Boop, 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 boop. There's one that's screaming at me. Oh, it's an empty card. What a gift. What a gift. You know why? People might think, oh, an empty card. There's nothing there. Nothing's helping me. Oh, no. It's telling me to tell you. It's telling me to tell you that pay attention to the animals around you. Like Sue, I noticed that you had a bunny the other day on Facebook. So bunny rabbits, new bunny rabbit, you can put a bunny rabbit here for your new helper, is about jumping into new. It's the newness of life. It's the newness of exploration. It's the what are you going to chew and nibble? Because rabbits like to eat, right? They like to eat. Oh, they're prosperous too with new babies. And so what are you going to do to multiply your life? What are you going to do with everything that's going on? So with that, pay attention to the birds. I've had crow flying around me a lot lately. So that's about the magic in life. They're also smart. So use my smarts to get me through where I'm going to go. What animal, what bird? Oh, dragonfly. A lot of people are seeing dragonflies lately. That's about the magic. Where are we going? It's about past lives coming up to support you. They're also about the dragons. The dragons are here to support us, roar, to fight, to be. So the dragons. I have my altar for dragons is over on this shoulder. It's opposite in StreamYard. So with that, look around you. Who's flying? Butterflies. The white moth. The white moth is around a lot of people lately. So the white moth is about whiteness, is about purity. The moth is about how can we go through the darkness into the light. The moth also is about, moths have that dust on top of them to help them fly. So it's about that, about having the coating of protection so we can fly. You never know what it's going to be. So pay attention to the animals because you got your universe helping you out. My love to you. So Sue says, I had synchronicity today with metaphorical and literally hugs from the universe. Thank you for noticing. Thank you for noticing. Kathy also said, 2 hands clapping, unlimited possibilities. Yes. Kathy and I have been helping each other go through this new normal that we're going through. Trust the foundation being rebuilt, new foundation being built. Because the house has to be torn down sometimes to get the rebuilding, and that's metaphorically. My love to everyone, and trust, please trust. Half a step, an inkling of the toes can get us to a little bit further into our future that helps us make decisions. Blessings to you, Natasha at AngelicClarifications.com.